Should you be doing live sales? In today's video, I'm going to go over not only if you should be doing live sales on different platforms, but which one is better. Would Poshmark, with doing Posh Shows, be the best one for you, or would Whatnot be the best place for you? If you are new here, my name is Ashley Wheeler. On this channel, I do some vlogs of different inventory that I pick up, whether it's at thrift stores, yard sales, unboxings from different liquidators, and I also show you how I make the money. How does it transfer into actual cash that I get to then do as a full-time living for my family? Now, I have gotten so many people asking me about, okay, you've done a Posh show. What was your thoughts? What was your impressions? And where to go from there. I haven't been able to really talk about like a full video yet about Whatnot, so I'm kind of briefly going to sprinkle that in. Make sure you hit that bell notification, because in two upcoming videos I'm going to do a sole video about Whatnot, and I'm also still going to do an update about what I feel, how do I feel about my Poshmark store, and what is my strategy moving forward with that. I am going to be totally transparent and say I'm actually on my way to Posh Fest right now, and so if you are seeing this video, chances are I'm probably sitting at the conference. So I will be doing also another video about Posh Fest. I was not planning to go at all. I actually had several friends that ended up saying they were going to go, which is why I decided to jump into it, because the networking aspect you just cannot replace. I didn't honestly think I was going to get a lot of value out of Posh Fest until they released Posh Shows. Now, I was tremendously skeptical. If you guys have been following me on Instagram, in my Insta stories, I kind of gave my impression, and initially I thought that they were just going to do live sales with a buy it now option. And I've done that route. If you guys have been here for a while, you saw that last year I was promoting Galaxy, and Galaxy was another live selling platform that I jumped into because I loved it. And my story when I had talked about that then was I was doing Facebook groups doing live sales. And so I was already trying to find the way to do a live selling format. I just wasn't having the proper vehicle with it. And so that's why I tried with Galaxy, and it wasn't successful. I would do an hour show and make less than $100, because the biggest key was they had a buy it now section and there wasn't an auction section. So initially when Posh Shows came, that's immediately what I thought they were going to do. And I felt like it was going to be unsuccessful, because the thing that I've seen very successful on Whatnot is that there is an auction. You start something at a really low price, believing and hoping that it's going to go up in price. And especially if people really like the piece, they'll get into bid wars. And so sometimes I've seen items that have gotten really close to retail, if not higher. Last Sunday, I had done my first show. Right now in the beta, they have a limit of 50 items you can do in the show. So that's one of the things that's kind of a setback if you are someone that likes to do a lot more pieces in one shot. However, I have felt like the retention in my Whatnot shows has been really good when I do 50 to 70 items. So it wasn't too much of a downer. It was a great way for me to just get into doing a first show and see what I felt about it, having done probably about 20 plus shows so far on Whatnot. I will say, still going into doing my Posh show, I was slightly skeptical, but a piece of me was hoping that, you know, the fact that Poshmark has been around for several years at this point and has done a lot of marketing and advertising, that perhaps they have a customer base that is there that Whatnot is still working on developing. You know, the category of women's modern and thrift clothing is a relatively new category on Whatnot, and so they're still working to bring more customers over to their platform. That was something that I was like, fingers crossed, I hope that is going to happen. And to be honest, it was. I was actually very surprised at the amount of customers that came. I couldn't believe the amount of people that were purchasing and really bidding up items. It made me realize, as much as I've really enjoyed, and I'll go more, like I said, in depth about my Whatnot strategy on a different video, but it made me realize that there is truly more, I would say, resellers on Whatnot. I've really battled that topic for such a long time, but I would agree, if we compare it to Poshmark, there are more customers that are over there. So what does that mean? That means that when you are trying to speak to a customer, you know, you grab an item and you're talking about this item and you're saying that this item sells for over $100. For a reseller, they might say, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, what is it going to resell for? But as someone who's a customer, they're like, Yeah, they are. They're regularly like $100 and something, and you're starting those at 10. Even at $50, that's a win. But for a reseller, they go, no, that'd be way too much to purchase. So that's what I mean about the differences between a reseller who's purchasing an item versus a customer who is purchasing an item. So again, strategy I will go into more in another video. And if you guys are wondering why I'm in this room, this is actually where I do my live sales. I have really been enjoying it, and even more so, one of the things I really enjoy is when my husband gets to come into the shows, because I feel like the dynamics between people just seeing us talking back and forth, they've loved. Very similar to him being on YouTube videos. I feel like you guys really enjoy them as well. Also, just the interaction that we can have in the conversation in one room. You know, it's nice because the comments were going so fast in the Posh Show that it was hard to really fully engage the way that I like to. So having him in the room was really, really nice to do the sale. A couple things that I feel like Poshmark needs to work on. One of the things is bundling. So on Poshmark, they have already trained their customers to be able to go into a store and add items to a bundle and then send an offer. In this case, unfortunately, because again, it's in beta, I think they may have like a week under their belt with having Posh Shows going live. They just purchase a piece and then they have to pay the shipping. You know, whereas like if they bundled in my store, they wouldn't have to pay shipping multiple times. They just pay $7.99 or whatever that number is, straight across, and it's anything, you know, below 5 pounds will ship. On the show, each item someone purchased, they had to pay another $7+ for shipping. That really cuts into the ability for items to go up a higher price, because people are thinking, okay, yeah, I'm paying $50 for something, but then I got to pay like $7, or even more specifically, if something goes for like $15 and they've got to pay $7+ for shipping, that takes that item up to $25. So at the moment right now, one of my strategies have to be with Posh Shows is I need to have items in the show that retail for over $25, because one of the things that is frustrating with Poshmark is anything under $15 that sells on their platform, they take, I think it's $2.95, whereas if anything is over $15, they take 20%. When I looked at some of the items that sold for $10, $12, they essentially took 30% of the profits. That's a lot. And when you compare that to Whatnot, that is not worth it. If you are selling used merchandise that is retails for under $25, or maybe you're not hitting that break point of $15, that really cuts into your profits, and it just makes more sense for you to be on Whatnot. Even if on Whatnot the customer base isn't fully established and there yet, you might be having items that sell for a little less. They're paying less in shipping and they are taking less in fees. So that's one of the areas where if you can get more designer pieces, if you can get items that have, you know, a higher average sales price, at least something that gets you over that $15 threshold, then it makes sense for you to put it on Poshmark, at least right now. My hope is that Poshmark is going to do an update soon where they can do very similar to Whatnot. Hey, the first item you purchase is going to be this much in shipping, and anything below that is just going to be a little less. I think that they probably are going to have to negotiate with USPS to determine how to create that, though, because I just don't see how they're going to be able to do it. You know, it's one of those things, having been in a marketing job before, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, this is all I'm asking. You know, I'm only asking for you to do like discounted shipping when someone buys one thing, but it's like easier said than done. Like that one little request is probably going to take quite some time to like get into the works. And so I'm fully aware of that. That's not a make or break for me when it comes to doing Posh Shows. It's just something that I really hope that they're going to be able to improve on moving forward in the future. One of the other things I have already briefly mentioned and I want to go more in depth on is the fees. So as I mentioned, you know, I was looking at the items that sold for $10 and $12 and I was like, dang, that's like 30% that they're taking in fees. But then I went over to Whatnot and I was actually really surprised because I wasn't thinking about something fully through. So Whatnot's fees is 8% that goes straight to the Whatnot platform. Then they have a PayPal transaction fee. That's PayPal's cut. That's not anything that Whatnot takes. They take a 2.9%. And I totally forgot, but they also take the 2.9 and a 30-cent transaction. So if someone purchases 10 items from you, that is 30 cents every single transaction, plus a percentage on top of that, plus then Whatnot takes their percentage. And then the other thing that I hadn't thought about before is when I do giveaways. Typically for me, I really like to start with a giveaway because I like to provide discounted shipping as an option to people. And when I've actually looked back at my sales, commonly that very first giveaway locks in a buyer for the rest of the show. They will end up with a bundle by the end of the show because it initially unlocked discounted shipping. So it's worth it for me to have that first giveaway. Then as the show is going on and I want to kind of have a reminder for me, a moment where people can like do follows or promote the shows, I do another giveaway. And sometimes it causes another customer to want to come in and purchase more pieces. Not all the time, but the biggest thing in that moment is me getting a break and being able to get a drink of water, and the people interacting in the comment section saying, here's when my next show is, hey, follow me. I'm going to throw in a bunch of emojis right now. It's just a moment for like a break, but also to help with the engagement in the comment section, which could potentially push you in the algorithm. Those two giveaways alone is at least going to cost me $8 because it's $4 in shipping both times, even if the item is under 4 ounces. When you add in the giveaways and you add in the Whatnot fees and the PayPal fees, I looked at a couple of my shows that I've already done on Whatnot, and they take in total, if you look at it from this perspective, it ends up looking like 15% to 16% of whatever you made on that show goes towards something else. It's not profit to you. When you look at it in that perspective, suddenly 20% doesn't look that bad. I know a lot of people are looking at Whatnot and Poshmark and going, well, Whatnot only takes 8%. Yes, but PayPal takes a percentage too. And if you're doing giveaways, that cuts into your profits too. And when you break that down in percentage all through your show, it actually does increase it to about 15%. Low end, it was about 15%, unless you don't do giveaways, and that's totally fine. But you're still going to end up with about 11 to 12% that's being given up in fees. And also depending on how low your items are selling for, suddenly that 30 cents that they are taking can be a bigger percentage. Very similar to what I was talking about with Poshmark, where if something's under $15, they really end up taking like 30% because they take $2.95. So that is something that you need to think about when you're looking at the shows. If you're someone who's been on the fence about doing Posh shows, only because you're like, well, Whatnot's fees are lower, consider that because the customer base is there. I saw that. There was one item that I had in a Whatnot show that did not sell. So then I put it on the Posh show. That thing ran up to $71. So there's different types of customers on both platforms. And that's something else I want to funnel into, and probably maybe my last point is, what sort of products are you selling? On Whatnot, I feel like I'm playing around still trying to figure out like what sells well over there. But on like Poshmark, I've already had a store for a while. So I kind of already know what the market has been doing. And so I was able to customize to what I felt like would do well over there. And I was really surprised. One example is Champion. So I have had I've been playing around with the brand Champion lately because I know reverse weave is much more popular. It became very trendy with high schoolers a couple years back. And so I was like, I need to know a little bit more about this brand. I need to know their key terms, what's popular, what's not. And I actually purchased a bulk amount when I first started my Whatnot shows, and I actually purchased from their website because they had a really good discount that was happening. I barely made my money back when I did that show on Whatnot. But then I put a couple Champion pieces in my Posh show, and those things rain up. Again, it's just a matter of you determining like what sort of products do you have, where are the customers, and what's going to make more sense to you in building out live shows. I guess the last thing I should go into is, should you be doing live shows? It's not going to be for everyone. I know that I'm hearing from a lot of introverts that are like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. You know, I want to make money and I want to be very successful. And like, this is why I'm not on social media, because I don't want to have to be the face of something. I just want to do my thing, make my money, and go home happy. Like, that is their MO. And that's okay. You can absolutely still make a living being a reseller without ever touching sales. Period. End of discussion. Again, I'll go into a little more details about my philosophies with live sales when I probably do my Whatnot YouTube video, because I definitely have some not really strong feelings, but I just have lots of perspectives that I would love to provide to you to maybe hope educate you and maybe sway you one way or another. That being said, I think that if you feel uncomfortable about it, that is going to transpire when you are doing a show. So just don't do the show. If you feel like, okay, I really, really, really want to do this, I see the vision, I see where this is going, and so I just need to do it, then have a friend in the room with you. You know, one of the common things that I tell people when I'm doing a whatnot show, and they're like, I'm about to do my first show and I'm so stinking nervous. I'm like, same girl. Like, I have done so many shows, and like the 5 minutes before a show, I'm like going like this, like, cause I'm sweating, you know, like my arms start sweating. I'm like having to take deep breaths. Like, it still happens after 30 shows under my belt. One of the things that I've encouraged people to do is when you're talking to the camera, because a bunch of comments are coming through, but it's not like a FaceTime call. It's not like you see a person and you're able to like engage back and forth and talk with them. You're like, hey, how's it going? And it's like silence. And then you're waiting for the comments to come through to answer your question. It's a delayed conversation, and so it can be really awkward or hard to navigate. I remember my first show, I got so used to watching shows that I asked a question and it was like blank for 30 seconds. And I was like, wow, this is weird. It took me a minute to navigate that. So if you are about to do a show and you're getting nervous about it, one of the things I encourage people to do is just relax, take some deep breaths, but more importantly, when you start talking to the camera, act like you're doing that FaceTime call with your best friend. Like, how would you talk to them? How would you giggle with them? What kinds of jokes would you like throw out? Because that is the thing that I see so many people go back to shows for, is your personality. Like, they love the inside jokes. They want to be in them. Like, then you start to do taglines for different things unintentionally because you just find yourself saying it all the time. And then the people who watch you all the time start saying the same stuff. It's like you have a connection that you're developing, and that's what people want to see. And that's why people come back to talk with you and to be in your shows. And again, kind of going back to my husband being in the room, things change. Like, I don't know how to explain it, except for the fact that maybe I've been married for 11 years, or we've been together for about 11 years, and just the connection and the comfortability, like I can just relax when he's with me. Maybe that's what changes, but there's something very significant that occurs when my husband's in the room with me. We can have fun, we can laugh, we can joke, because it's what we do on a regular basis anyways. It's just now being filmed. So if you feel like doing a show is very uncomfortable and you don't think you can, like, okay, I'm talking to my best friend on the other line. I'm not, you know, like, if you can't do that, find someone that can go into the room with you and just talk with them, have fun with them. Don't be afraid to laugh, and don't be afraid to make a mistake. The thing about YouTube that's different on a live show is I can edit out all my ums. I can edit out the moments where I completely twisted a word and I have to like re-say my sentence, which I do. But on Whatnot or on Posh Shows, I find myself going, all right, take two. And then trying to say the same thing again, and people laugh, and I'm laughing with them because I've learned to just relax and not be perfect, because I'm not a perfect person and I don't want to try to appear like I'm trying to be, because that's exhausting, and I would never want to try to stretch to be a perfect human being every single day. Like, I can't even wrap my mind around someone trying to do that. That's exhausting. If you guys are interested in seeing some of my Posh shows, I'm gonna link my store down below. And when I do have new shows, I'll put up a new listing to say, hey, here's when my next show is going to be. If you also want to try out Whatnot, I have a seller link down below. That is an affiliate link. I'm okay with you using that link, but I want you to reach out to me and let me know if you're using that link, because I want to walk you through the process of how to get applied as a seller. And then I also want to be on your first show. So if you use any of the links down below, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or even in the comment section here to let me know that you are doing that. I hope this was informational to you. I hope that this encourages you. I hope that this educates you. I know there's not a lot of people who have done Whatnot and Posh shows yet. So I will be coming back with probably another video, doing any updates as Poshmark continues to navigate out of this beta section into a more public section where everyone can join. And that's actually probably the last thing I will end with, is I've gotten several questions asking me, how do I get into Posh Shows? A lot of people think that it's similar to Whatnot, where it's like, you need to get approved, you need to be recommended. It's not that. I received an email probably about a month ago now that said, hey, you had a ticket for Posh Fest 2021, and then you also have one for this year. We are actually ruling out a new beta feature. Are you interested in doing it? And I said yes to that. So because I was at Posh Fest last year and going this year, that is why I had access to it. I got no other special treatment. I was just a part of investing in the company still, which I'm very, very thankful I did. Because I was very, very close to not getting my ticket. So I'm very thankful that I did make the decision last minute, and I will be coming to you guys with another video about Poshmark. The content will be coming back. I will be doing probably a lot more eBay, Whatnot, and Poshmark now because I'm doing all three, and I'm excited to show you guys where this business goes. It's been taking off like crazy lately, and I'm just trying to catch the wave. Like it's so fast, I can't keep up with what's happening right now. So I'm excited. I'm excited to share it with you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.